The jungle was quiet. Too quiet. The stars above the alien world of Coronine blinked in a strange purple sky. Tall red trees swayed gently in the warm night wind. But deep inside the jungle, near a rocky cliff, loud drums echoed. Fires crackled. And screams filled the air. A young alien girl named Zeva was tied to a thick wooden pole in the center of a wide stone circle. Her arms were pulled behind her. Her ankles were chained. Her purple skin was bruised. Her long silver hair hung down. Dirty and tangled, around her a crowd of tribal aliens danced and shouted. Their faces were painted in blood-red ink. They carried sharp bone spears. Their yellow eyes glowed in the dark. They called it a sacred cooking, a cruel tradition where they burned the chosen alive to honor their sun god. And tonight, Zeva was the chosen one. She didn't understand why. She had never hurt anyone. She was just a simple village girl who once cared for animals. But 2 nights ago, the tribal warriors attacked her home. They killed many. They dragged her away while she screamed for her mother. They said she had something inside her, something rare, something holy. Now she was tied above a pit of dry wood. The fire would be lit at moon-rise. Tears rolled down her cheeks. She was only 17 in human years, too young to die, too alone to fight. No one would save her? No one even knew where she was, but far above the jungle, in the cold sky, someone was watching. A small human scout ship floated silently above the jungle. Inside, Jack Morrow, a former Earth soldier turned wanderer, studied the planet below. Jack had been flying through this part of space after picking up a strange distress signal. It wasn't in any known language, but something in the sound felt urgent, like someone crying for help. He zoomed in with his long-range scope. That's when he saw the fire pit, the crowd, the girl. Damn, he muttered. They're gonna roast her alive. He had seen many cruel things across galaxies, slavers, pirates, monsters, but nothing ever sat right with him when innocents were used for blood games. Especially girls. He didn't know who she was. He didn't care. He just knew this. He had to stop it. Jack grabbed his pulse rifle, strapped on his old black armor, and hit the drop switch. The ship's hatch opened, and he launched himself down in a fast pod straight toward the jungle clearing. Back on the ground, Zeva was shaking. The flames were getting closer. 2 warriors were walking forward, each holding a torch. The crowd grew louder, wilder. They stomped and shouted, "Sunfire will burn her clean." One of them yelled, "Honor the flame, feed the sky." Another screamed. Zeva closed her eyes. She whispered a quiet prayer. Her voice trembled. "Please, someone, save me." And then it happened. Boom! A shockwave blasted through the clearing. Smoke and fire flew into the sky. The ground shook. The warriors fell to their knees. Everyone turned. A black figure stood in the middle of the smoke, tall, armored, holding a glowing rifle. His helmet eyes flashed blue. He stepped forward, slow and steady. Zeva opened her eyes. She blinked in shock. Was it a spirit? A god? No. It was a man. Let her go? The human's voice echoed through a loudspeaker. The warriors screamed and ran toward him. Jack didn't wait. He fired. Blue energy blasts shot out. 3 warriors fell instantly. Others stopped, afraid. Jack moved like a storm, dodging spears, smashing faces with his fists, and pushing through the crowd like a wild animal. Zeva watched, stunned. She had never seen a creature move like him, so fast, so strong. He fought like 10 men. In less than 2 minutes, the fire was kicked over. The wood scattered. The warriors were fleeing into the jungle, and Jack stood beside her, panting. He looked at her, dirty, scared, tied up. For a moment, he didn't speak. Then, calmly, he said, "Don't worry. You're safe now." He pulled out a small laser cutter and sliced her chains. Zeva fell into his arms, too weak to stand. "I don't understand," she whispered. Jack looked up at the stars. "Neither do I," he said, "but you don't deserve to die like that." Before she could ask his name, her eyes closed. She passed out in his arms. Far in the trees, hidden eyes watched everything. A cloaked figure whispered into a radio, "The human has her." Send word, they're both now targets. Asterisk, the flames were gone, but the fear still burned in Zeva's chest. She lay half awake on the floor of a strange room, smooth metal walls, dim blue lights, and a steady humming sound under her. Her wrists were free now. Her body was wrapped in a warm blanket. For the first time in days, she wasn't cold. She wasn't bleeding, but she wasn't safe. Not yet. Across the small room, the man in black armor sat silently, his helmet placed beside him on a steel crate. His face was sharp, tired eyes, a scar above his left brow. Not a monster, not a god. Just a man, but Zeva felt something more when she looked at him, a storm hiding inside still water. She tried to sit up. He didn't move. Just stared. You're awake, he said, voice calm but distant. Where am I? She whispered. My ship, he replied. It's flying. Zeva blinked. Flying? But you're not one of us. You single quotes read coat human, he said. Name's Jack. There was a pause. A heavy silence filled the room. Zeva looked down at her hands, still shaking. You saved me. Why? Jack leaned back against the wall. Didn't like the way they were roasting you like a pig? Zeva didn't understand the word pig, but the tone made her look away. Her voice cracked. They said I carried something. Something rare, that my blood was special. I don't even know what they meant. Jack's expression changed just slightly. He stood, grabbed a drink pouch, and tossed it to her. They were right. Zeva caught it clumsily. What? He turned his back to her and tapped the screen. Your DNA, it's not like the others. You've got data written into your blood. Data? Coordinates, location of something ancient. Maybe a weapon, maybe a relic. Whatever it is, they wanted to destroy it, and before someone else could find it. Zeva froze. Her entire life she had believed she was a nobody, a quiet girl from a forgotten forest village. Now she was a walking map. No, I'm just Zeva. Jack looked back over his shoulder. Not anymore. Just then the ship jolted. A red light flashed on the wall. Warning, incoming craft detected. The ship's voice announced. Jack cursed under his breath and rushed to the front panel. Damn it, someone tracked the rescue signal. They're here fast. Zeva stood up weakly, heart pounding. Them? Worse, Jack said, gripping his rifle. Bounty hunters. The radar showed 3 ships closing in. Zeva's voice trembled. Because of me? Jack didn't answer. Instead, he looked at her again, longer this time, not with pity, with decision. You have 2 options, he said. Hide in the escape pod and pray they don't find you, or you stay with me, and we fight back. Zeva's lip quivered. I don't know how to fight. You'll learn, Jack said. If you don't, you die. Outside the ship, dark vessels with sharp wings and glowing engines surrounded them. Messages blared through the coms. Surrender the girl, human. We only want her. Your ship will be destroyed in 90 seconds if you refuse. Jack pressed the speaker button. Come, get her, you cowards. He grinned a little. Zeva stared at him in disbelief. You're not afraid? Jack finally met her eyes. His were hard as steel. Fears for people who have something to lose. Right now, I only have a reason to fight. She stepped closer to him. Why are you really doing this? He looked down at her, eyes softer now, but still wild underneath. Because I've seen too many innocent people burn. You were almost one of them. Zeva didn't speak. She just nodded. Outside, the hunters were closing in. Inside, the human loaded his rifle. The girl stood beside him, no longer chained, but not yet free. The ship dropped into clouds, dodging plasma shots. Jack took the controls with one hand, the weapon in the other. Zeva held onto the console, watching the sky turn red from enemy. Fire, you sure about this? Jack asked. Zeva nodded. I'd rather die fighting than burn like food. Jack gave her a look of approval. Good answer. They dove straight into the battle. The sky was on fire. Bright beams of plasma cut through the clouds like angry red knives. The human ship twisted and turned, diving between the deadly streaks. The engines roared like wild beasts. Inside, Zeva clung to the side rails, her knuckles white, her heart crashing in her chest. Jack didn't blink. His face was stone. 3 bounty hunter ships chased them. All bigger, all faster. But Jack's hands moved with perfect control like he had done this 1,000 times. Maybe he had, HFY? Wanted to scream. But instead, she whispered something only she could hear. "Don't let me die in the sky." "Not now." Jack flipped a lever. One of the enemy ships came closer, too close. "Hold on," he warned. Boom! He pulled hard left and pressed the side. Cannon trigger. A glowing missile flew out and hit the hunter ship's wing. It exploded mid-air, falling in flames like a dead bird. HFY gasped. "You hit it!" "One down," Jack muttered. 2 more. But the other 2 weren't playing. Any more. They closed in, 1 on each side. Jack's ship shook violently as both fired at once. Sparks flew, an alarm screamed. "Warning, engine failure, shields at 30%. Jack slammed his fist on the dashboard. "We're not going down yet." HFY looked at him. Her voice was soft, but steady. "Then what's the plan?" Jack grinned, almost like he was enjoying the danger. "Crash," he said. "What?" "Controlled crash. Buckle up." The ship dove straight down into the thick jungle below. Tree branches tore at the sides. The ship slammed into the ground, bouncing, skidding, grinding through roots and stone. Smoke poured out, panels broke. Sparks lit up the dark. Then dash silence. Everything stopped. HFY opened her eyes. Her head hurt, but she was alive. Jack groaned and stood up, holding his side. "Still breathing. That's a win." Outside, the last 2 hunter ships circled like vultures. "They'll land soon," Jack said. "We need to move." HFY nodded. Wobbly but awake. "Where?" Jack pointed toward the jungle. "Cover, shadows, and hope." The 2 ran into the thick forest. The jungle was alive with strange sounds, buzzing bugs, glowing flowers, trees with blue vines that moved when touched. HFY stumbled, her feet bare, her clothes torn. But she kept going. Jack moved like a soldier. Quiet, fast, always looking back, behind them. The bounty hunters landed. It didn't take long. One of them, a tall creature with red cybernetic eyes and mechanical arms, picked up their trail. He sniffed the air and smiled. "They're running?" He hissed, "Let's hunt." His partner, a 4-legged armored alien with bone armor, laughed. "Easy pay." They followed. Meanwhile, Jack and HFY hid under a thick root system beside a shallow cave. Jack checked his gear. Only 1 plasma grenade left. Half his rifle charge. HFY looked at her shaking hands. "I don't want to die," she said quietly. Jack looked at her seriously. "You're not going to." "How do you know?" "Because I'm still standing." Suddenly footsteps, heavy, close. Jack turned off his weapon lights. He pointed at HFY and whispered, "Stay down, no sound." A shadow passed over them. The bounty hunter's red eyes glowed in the dark. He stood right above them. Jack's finger rested on the trigger. HFY didn't breathe, but then a noise behind the hunter. The alien turned, too late. Jack exploded from the roots, slamming the grenade into the hunter's chest and shoving him backward. "Catch this!" The grenade flashed. Boom. The forest lit up for a second. The hunter flew back, crashing through a tree, but Jack didn't smile, because the second hunter was already here. The 4-legged beast tackled Jack from the side, pinning him to the ground. It roared, claws raised. HFY screamed. Something inside her snapped. She picked up Jack's half-broken rifle. Her hands shook. She didn't know how to shoot, but she aimed anyway and fired. A bright pulse of energy hit the beast in the side. It howled in pain, turned, and that's when Jack kicked it off and rolled on top, smashing the butt of his blade into its eye. The beast twitched, then stopped moving. Silence. Jack stood, breathing hard. HFY dropped the rifle. Jack looked at her and nodded. "Good shot." HFY stared at the dead beast. Her hands were still trembling. "I was scared," she whispered. Jack placed a hand on her shoulder. "Fear's not the enemy. Giving up is—" Together they climbed into the small cave. Jack built a tiny fire. HFY curled near it, wrapping herself in his coat. For the first time in days she felt something warm. Not just from the fire, but from him. She looked at him and said, "You're not like the others." Jack stared into the flame. "No, I'm not." She blinked slowly. Are you going to leave me somewhere safe now? Jack didn't answer immediately. Then he said, I don't think you're meant to be left behind anymore. Outside, smoke rose from the wrecked bounty ships. Inside, the fire burned soft and quiet. The fire in the cave had turned to warm orange embers. Zeva lay curled on one side, wrapped in Jack's coat, breathing softly. Her face, once full of fear, was now calm. The jungle outside was silent. Even the wind dared not make a sound. Jack sat near the entrance, awake, watching the dark. One hand rested on his rifle. The other held a small glowing cube. He stared at it like it carried a heavy truth. It did. He had scanned Zeva's blood while she was unconscious, curious, cautious. What he found shook even him. Coordinates, ancient tech. Lock encryption. This girl wasn't just rare. She was the key to something powerful, maybe even galaxy-breaking. He looked back at her sleeping form. She doesn't even know what she is, he muttered to himself. By morning, Zeva woke slowly. She sat up, blinking. The warmth was still there. Jack handed her a dried ration bar. She looked at it like it was gold. No more hunters? She asked quietly. For now, Jack said. But they'll be back, or someone worse. Zeva took a bite, chewed silently. So we run again? Jack shook his head. We fly. Her eyes widened. But the ship wrecked? Yes. But my rescue beacon worked. A dropship's coming. Zeva felt her heart lift. But only for a moment. Then what happens to me? She asked. Do you leave me on some station? Sell me to some rich house? Give me to the highest bidder? Jack stared at her. You think I'm that kind of man? Zeva lowered her head. I don't know what to think anymore. You're the only one who's ever helped me. But everyone helps for a reason. Jack stood up. You're right, he said. He pulled something. From his belt pouch, a small glowing bindstone, alien tech. Rare, sacred. Zeva's eyes went wide. Is that? Jack nodded. A bond offer, military style, temporary, two-way protection contract. You and I become one unit until the danger's over. Zeva blinked fast. Why would you? Because I'm not just saving you anymore, Jack said. You saved me too, back there, with the shot. With your courage? He held the stone out. Zeva stared at it like it was fire. If I touch it, we'll be linked. Not just body, mind, spirit. Yes, Jack said. But you can walk away. I won't force it. She didn't answer right away. Then, slowly, she reached out and placed her hand over his. The stone glowed brightly, then dissolved into sparkles between their palms. Something unseen passed between them. Zeva gasped softly. Jack closed his eyes. For a moment they both felt it. Pain, memories, loneliness. Then understanding. Just then, a soft humming sound echoed above the treetops. Jack looked up. Dropships here. He stepped out of the cave, raising a signal flare. A sleek silver vessel lowered through the clouds, wind blowing the leaves wild. The rump opened and 4 large mech soldiers stepped out, weapons ready. Human Agent Morrow, confirmed, one said. Target secured? Another asked. Jack nodded toward Zeva, who stood behind him now, clutching his coat around herself. She's with me. The soldiers scanned her but stopped when Jack showed them the newly activated bind mark on his wrist. Bound, under your protection. The mech confirmed. Inside the dropship, Zeva sat by a window, staring down at the jungle fading below. Her fingers traced the glass. So many died down there, she whispered. My home, my people, gone. Jack sat beside her. They didn't just burn your village. They tried to erase something sacred, and now you carry it. Zeva looked at him. And if I'm the key, who wants to use me? Or destroy me? Jack looked out the window too. That's what we'll find out. Suddenly the dropship shook. Warning. Missile lock detected, the pilot shouted. They found us. Jack jumped to his feet. Get to the lower bay. Strap in. Zeva ran, heart racing again, just when she thought she was safe. The fire had returned, but this time she wasn't. The helpless girl on a stick, she was linked to a human who didn't know how to give up. The dropship burned through the sky like a wounded bird. Smoke trailed behind it as enemy missiles roared closer, sensors flashing red, alarms screaming in every corner. Inside, Zeva sat frozen in the lower bay, fingers clutching the seat straps so tight her knuckles turned pale blue. "Hold on!" The pilot shouted. Above, Jack kicked open an emergency panel. He yanked a cable, rerouted power, and punched a manual override on the flares. Outside, the ship burst out a burst of blinding white light, confusing the enemy's tracking. Boom! 2 missiles exploded early. The third missed entirely. The ship dove lower through clouds, then down into the rocky canyons of a dead desert moon. They barely made it. Inside the dropship, Zeva was shaking. She hadn't spoken a word since the missile alert. Her body remembered the feeling of being hunted, of fire, ropes, and screaming. But something else was rising now to the bond. It pulsed inside her. Like a second heartbeat. Jack entered the lower bay, sweaty, bleeding from a shallow cut across his eyebrow. But he smiled like it was just another Tuesday. "That was fun," he muttered, then saw her pale face. He crouched beside her, voice gentler now. "Hey, you okay?" Zeva looked up at him slowly. "Why do I feel what you feel?" Jack nodded, wiping the blood from his temple. "It's the bangstone. You're inside my nervous system now, and I'm inside yours." Zeva's lips parted in awe. "So when you hurt, I hurt. And when you heal ... double quotes." Jack paused, smiling faintly. "Maybe I heal too." The ship landed at a hidden medical base built into a canyon wall. Old human tech, mostly abandoned, but still working. A single medbot rolled out, scanning them. Both. Jack stepped aside. "She goes first," Zeva protested. "But you're bleeding." He gave her a look. "It's just skin." "You almost died again." She lay on the med table. Machines hummed. Arms scanned her. A soft light passed over her chest, her lungs, her bloodstream. Internal organ damage, mild radiation burns. Genetic markers, ancient code detected. Human-compatible tissue sync, active ... Diva blinked. "Wait, what does that mean?" The medbot's cold voice replied, "You are changing." Later, in the private rest chamber, Zeva sat by a mirror, staring at her reflection. Her once soft skin now had faint shimmer patterns, like starlight trapped beneath the surface. Her eyes, once violet, now had a thin golden ring inside. She touched her cheek, confused. Jack leaned against the doorway. "It's the bind. The data in your blood is rewriting parts of you, evolving you." Zeva turned, frightened. "Into what?" He didn't have an answer. Only a heavy silence. Then she stood, walked slowly to him. "You could have left me," she said, "twice now, but you didn't." Jack shrugged. "You shot a monster to save me. I owe you." "No," she said. "You chose to care. That's not a debt. That's something else." He met her gaze. This time he didn't look away. For a moment, the air felt different. Their bond pulsed again. A heat passed between them, not fire, not fear, but a pull. She reached out, fingers brushing his chest plate. Jack inhaled slowly. "I've never been this close to anyone before," Zeva whispered. "Not by blood, not by spirit." Jack's voice was low. "I spent most of my life alone on purpose, but with you, I feel less like a weapon, more like a man." Their fingers locked. And for the first time, they didn't feel like two beings. They felt like one. Suddenly an alert. "Incoming message. Code red. Coordinates breached." Jack's eyes widened. "They found the vault." Zeva froze. "The one in my blood?" He nodded. "It was never just about killing you. It was about reaching the place your genes lead to. A vault buried deep in the planet Zavrax 4. If they get there first, they'll use what's inside." Zeva finished, horrified. Jack grabbed his gear. "We move now." Zeva stood too, calmer this time. Her body felt different now, lighter, faster, stronger. The bond had awakened something ancient inside her. She wasn't just a passenger anymore. Jack paused at the door. "Ligay." She looked at him, steady, ready, she said. Outside, the night wind of the canyon howled. The human and the alien girl walked toward the ship's new course, not as strangers, not as rescuer and rescued, but as something far deeper. Bound, burning, unbreakable. The skies above Zavrax 4 turned red as warships broke through the clouds. Massive black vessels hovered like angry gods, casting shadows across the desert valleys. Engines roared, searchlights cut through the dust, and from the bellies of the ships, came the army. Thousands of armored soldiers marched in formation clones, machines and beasts with plasma rifles and sharp claws. This wasn't just a retrieval mission anymore, it was an invasion. Far below, hidden in an old communication bunker, Jack and Zeva stared at a 3D map glowing on the table. Zeva's golden-ringed eyes widened. All of that. For me? Jack crossed his arms. No, for what's buried where your DNA leads. He tapped the screen. A blinking red dot marked the location, an ancient underground vault said to contain pre-galactic technology. Some called it a weapon. Some called it a god machine. All Jack knew was this: if the enemy got to it first, the galaxy would burn. Xavier whispered, "We can't fight that many." "It's an army." Jack didn't blink. "We don't need to fight all of them." He leaned closer to the map. "We just need to reach the vault, and trigger the lockdown. If you can activate it with your DNA, no one else can enter. Ever?" Xavier nodded slowly. "Then let's go." They climbed out of the bunker, desert wind whipping through their clothes. Xavier had changed. Her eyes glowed brighter now. Her skin shimmered faintly in sunlight. The bond between her and Jack pulsed stronger with every step they took, but they weren't alone. From the cliffs above, a pair of scout bots spotted them and sounded an alarm. Within minutes, fast attack bikes zoomed toward their position 3, then 5, then 10. Dust clouds rose. Laser sights locked in. Jack grabbed Xavier's hand. "We run!" The chase began. Over rocks and cliffs they ran, dodging fire. Explosions lit up behind them. Xavier slipped, but Jack pulled her up. One of the bikes came too close, blam. Jack spun and shot it in the wheel, sending it crashing into another. Xavier saw another attacker aiming at Jack's back. She screamed, lifted her hand, and without touching anything, the enemy's weapon snapped in half. Jack turned. "Did you?" I didn't mean to," Jack grinned as they ran. "You're full of surprises." They reached a narrow pass in the rocks on the other side. Hidden beneath sand and stone was a metallic door, old, ancient, pulsing faintly with blue light. Xavier stepped forward. The door reacted to her presence. Symbols glowed. Metal plates shifted, but then a loud screech behind them. The general of the alien army had arrived. He was massive, 8 feet tall, wrapped in obsidian armor with 4 arms and eyes like molten glass. His voice echoed like thunder. "Give me the girl, now." Jack stepped between them. "She's not yours." The general raised his hand, and his army surrounded the rocks above. Xavier whispered, "We're trapped." Jack whispered back, "No, we stall." The general took a step forward. "You don't understand what she carries. That machine beneath your feet, it is a power even your species should fear. Humanity is not ready for what sleeps here." Jack raised his weapon. "We decide what we're ready for." The general's eyes narrowed. "Then die." He raised a plasma cannon and fired, but the beam never hit. Xavier stepped forward barefoot, arms raised, and her body absorbed the blast. A golden energy shield flared around her. Her skin glowed bright like a star. Her voice changed, echoing with something older inside her. "You want the vault?" she said calmly. "Then face its guardian." Everyone froze. Jack stared at her. "Xavier, what's happening?" Xavier didn't turn around. "I think I'm becoming what I was meant to be." She raised her arms again, and the ground shook. From beneath the sand, giant metallic pillars rose up. The vault entrance cracked open. Wind howled. Ancient machines stirred beneath. Lights blinked for the first time in 10,000 years. The general stepped back in disbelief. "She's activated it, he hissed. "She's bonded to it." Xavier turned to Jack. "I can go in." "I can lock it, but once I do, I won't be able to leave." Jack stepped forward. "Then I go with you." She shook her head. "No, you've done enough. You gave me the strength to reach this far." Jack's fists tightened. "I didn't save you just to lose you again." She smiled, touched his cheek. You didn't save me, Jack. You awakened me. Behind them, the general roared and charged. Jack turned, ready to fire, but Zeva stepped into the vault doorway, and the world changed. Light exploded outward bright, golden, unstoppable. It swept across the cliffs, knocking soldiers and machines into the dust. The general screamed as the wave hit him and turned to ash. Jack shielded his eyes when the light faded. The army was gone, and so was Zeva. The vault door sealed itself. Silence returned. Jack stood alone in the wind, but on his wrist the bond mark still glowed, still alive, still connected. The desert wind blew across the shattered cliffs where the battle had ended. Ashes of the alien army scattered like dust across the red rocks. Burned metal, cracked helmets, broken machines, they all told the same story. Something ancient had awakened, and it had chosen her. Jack stood alone in the silence. His armor was scorched. His rifle hung useless by his side. But none of that mattered anymore. His eyes were locked on the sealed vault door, smooth, metallic, glowing faintly with golden veins that pulsed like a heartbeat. Her heartbeat. He raised his wrist. The bindstone mark still glowed warm. That meant Zeva was still alive, somewhere inside that forgotten place, buried under mountains of alien history and god-level machines. She was breathing, but she wasn't the same, not anymore. Days passed. Jack didn't leave. He built a camp near the vault entrance, repaired what gear he could, left marks, signals just in case she returned, but each night he dreamed strange things, a golden figure standing in endless white light, eyes that knew too much. A voice whispering inside his chest. You freed the girl. Now the flame walks inside the vault. Time moved differently. Zeva's body floated in a chamber of pure light, surrounded by thousands of whispering machines. She no longer felt hunger or fear. Her skin was no longer just flesh, it was woven with stardust and ancient code. She saw everything, the wars before her time, the weapon hidden beneath her DNA, the truth. She had been born to carry the last lock of a system meant to rewrite galaxies. Her ancestors had sealed it away, encoding it into her bloodline. But now the system had awakened, and it had asked her one question: will you guide the flame, or become it? She thought of Jack, of his hands pulling her from the fire, of his eyes staring into hers when she was broken, of the way he never asked for anything, but gave her everything. And she whispered, I choose to become it. The system responded, her body lit up, golden fire pouring from her skin. Her eyes, her soul, the vault accepted her, but she still held one bond, one thread, one heart. Outside. One morning, as Jack cleaned a cracked visor under the soft sunrise, he heard something, a sound that didn't belong to the wind. He stood slowly. His hand hovered over his sidearm. Though he already knew this wasn't danger. It was return. A column of golden light rose from the center of the vault. The sealed door cracked open for the first time since she vanished. Out stepped a figure, barefoot, glowing, wrapped in soft white energy. Long silver hair flowing behind her like silk. Zeva. But not the same girl who had once cried by the fire. Now she was the fire. Jack took a step forward. Zeva? Her eyes met his, warm, endless, ancient, but still her. She smiled. Not like a goddess, not like a weapon, but like a girl who had come home. I thought I'd lost you, Jack whispered. She walked up to him, light flickering off her skin. You never did. You kept me alive, even when I wasn't in my body. He looked her over, amazed and confused. What are you now? Zeva placed a glowing hand over his chest. Still me, but more. The vault didn't just unlock a weapon, it unlocked truth, and now I carry it. Jack exhaled. So what happens now? She looked toward the horizon. Now we choose. Zeva raised her hand, and the golden light behind her shifted, revealing a portal, a gateway to the stars. She could go anywhere, touch any system, save or destroy entire worlds, but her hand stayed in his. I want to see the galaxy, she said. But I don't want to see it alone. Jack smiled slowly. Then let's fly, Flame Girl, she laughed softly. Don't call me that. It suits you, he said. You burned a warlord, erased an army, and scared death itself. She leaned forward. And you pressed a button, shot a grenade, and nearly passed out in a desert? They both laughed. Then they stepped into the light together. From that day, across space and legend, stories would spread of a golden being who carried the flame of the first stars. And beside her always stood a human man with steel eyes, a sharp tongue, and a heart that never broke. They weren't gods, they weren't rulers, they were something more dangerous. Two souls who had chosen each other when no one else would.